Wait, so the reigning Eastern Conference finalists swapped point guards? Why would the Cavs give up a four-time All-Star, one of the best ball handlers in the game, the guy whose clutch shot gave them a championship a little over a year ago? Isn't LeBron gonna be pissed? And why would the Celtics give up a prolific underdog who everyone loves, who played through injuries and tragedies to get them to the Eastern Conference Finals last season? What is everyone doing? What is the plan here? Where am I? What is going on? This blockbuster trade had the potential to upset the status quo of the Eastern Conference while influencing where the game's biggest star played next. The Cleveland Cavaliers trading Kyrie Irving was a big deal. Hello, I'm interrupting your regularly scheduled programming just briefly to tell you that Secret Base has a Patreon. Join for bonus content every Monday. In the summer of 2017, Cleveland found themselves with a problem. Their second best player, a very good player, asked for a trade because he no longer wanted to be the second best player on a team. Some said, yeah, go for it. Others said it was an idiot-based hubris decision. I'm not here to judge. But either way, sticky situation for the Cavs, who hadn't been having the world's best offseason in the first place. Actually, let's back up further. Right before the offseason, they weren't having much fun either. They failed to defend their 2016 title, losing in 5 quick, clean games to the Warriors. The same Warrior super team they'd have to get through that coming year and conceivably the rest of their lives. After losing the finals, LeBron James said the Cavs needed to make some roster moves to keep up with Golden State. So great. Management knew what the king wanted. Go do it. Simple enough. Oh wait, they're already over the salary cap. Oh wait, they parted ways with their GM and were now working with a 34-year-old new GM. Oh wait, they tried and failed to get Paul George. Same with Jimmy Butler. Okay, they did sign some backups, but basically they did so little that summer, some predicted the Celtics would finish the regular season ahead of them. Oh wait, because the Celtics had a good offseason. Oh wait, everybody had a good offseason except the Cavs. Well, the offseason wasn't over, and Kyrie was super desirable. His talent was Cleveland's leverage. Oh wait, Kyrie's timing could not be worse. James had just 1 year before he could become a free agent, and he was not committing to staying in Cleveland. So how were the Cavs supposed to know what to go after in exchange for Kyrie? Win-now players that would convince LeBron to stay, or young guys and picks to start the rebuild they'd have to do if James bolted the following summer? What could the Cavs do? That question dominated the summer of 2017. Let's break it down into 4 categories. 1, don't trade Kyrie. 2, trade Kyrie later. 3, trade Kyrie now. 4, trade LeBron. What? No, nobody's doing that. No more hot takes. Okay, 3 categories. The Cavs had no obligation to trade Irving just because he asked nicely. I'm assuming he asked nicely. He was under contract for 2 more years. And in fact, at first, Cleveland said they weren't going to trade him. New GM Kobe Altman and owner Dan Gilbert tried to downplay the request, using a new word their PR department seemed to think was bulletproof. It wasn't. Because, could Kyrie and LeBron really get along and play together after Kyrie dropped this bomb? The drama, my God. The city didn't forgive Kyrie, as evidenced by Cleveland.com publishing a listicle of places to burn Kyrie's jersey. And even if James could still play with Irving, how about the rest of the team? Apparently, Kyrie was already pouting up the locker room during the playoffs. Oh, and just one more quick thing. Irving was threatening knee surgery that'd knock him out for most of the season if the Cavs didn't trade him. Okay, let's trade Kyrie. The Cavs could wait till December 15 to trade him because that's when the summer's free agents become eligible for a trade, and maybe they could get a better package. But that doesn't solve any of the drama or knee surgery problems. So this wasn't a great option. Number 3 it is. The Cavs went to LeBron being like, throw us a bone. Are you staying or leaving? Please stay, please stay, please stay. You know Drew Carey's from here, right? But LeBron wouldn't commit, and there were an awful lot of rumors about him going to LA. There were reports that the Cavs assumed LeBron was leaving, and thus they wanted youth and draft picks. But hey, they had to see what was out there too. Let's crisscross the country, starting in Phoenix, who looked like the ideal trade partner for Cleveland. They had just drafted Josh Jackson 4th overall, and they had Miami's 2018 first-round pick, so that'd be nice for rebuilding. Not to mention, point guard Eric Bledsoe was coming off his best season. And what's this? He worked out with LeBron this summer. Interesting. And let's not forget Devin Booker, who was looking like a future star after just 2 years in the league. Or actually, let's forget Devin Booker. Kyrie only had 2 years left on his contract, and Phoenix was wary about giving up their future for a guy who might jet in 2 years. They were only willing to give up Bledsoe, the pick, and a throw-in, which wasn't enough for Cleveland. How about the Knicks? At one point that summer, Vegas had the Knicks as Kyrie's most likely landing spot. Rumor was the Cavs thought 22-year-old Kristaps Porzingis would be an ideal piece to rebuild around, but the Knicks weren't willing to part with him. Onward to San Antonio? The Spurs were interested in Kyrie. Kyrie was interested in the Spurs. But San Antonio's trade assets were veterans, some possibly past their prime. In short, not helpful to Cleveland if LeBron left. Okay, how about the Timberwolves? Irving had them on his wish list, but it would require Minnesota to really change their game plan. They had spent the offseason revamping their roster. They were the ones who ended up getting Jimmy Butler, and they just signed point guard Jeff Teague to a big contract. Neither Teague nor Butler could be traded until December 15 if Minnesota even wanted to do that. The Cavs were interested in Andrew Wiggins, but wanted more, and the Timberwolves were like, we love Wiggins, get away from us? So that was a dead end. Could Irving take his talents to South Beach? There were rumors Miami would part with Goran Dragic and Justice Winslow. Dragic was a solid point guard, but he was 31. Hey, Justice Winslow was young and promising. Oh wait, Miami's not in the game. This happened with the Bucks, too. There were reports they were willing to part with Rookie of the Year Malcolm Brogdon, Chris Middleton, and a first-round pick, which doesn't sound bad for Cleveland, but it also wasn't real. Denver, anyone? The Cavs reportedly inquired about Jamal Murray, an explosive point guard who showed a lot of potential. So much potential that the Nuggets would not be trading him. I thought Kyrie's talent was their leverage. What the fuck? Nobody's trading potential talent for 2 years of guaranteed Kyrie Irving? Excuse me. Now it is time to talk about the Boston Celtics. The Celtics wanted 2 years of Kyrie Irving. They sent Cleveland Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, rookie center Ante Zizic, and the 2018 first-round pick they had gotten from Brooklyn years ago. The deal was heralded as masterful, a triumph for new GM Kobe Altman and owner Dan Gilbert. The Cavs did the impossible. They got the assets to both compete now and rebuild in 2018. The first-round pick was huge for the Cavs' rebuilding efforts, and Zizic probably too. Jay Crowder and IT were about winning now. Crowder was a good defender and spent last season shooting about 40% from beyond the arc. Thomas, well, okay, we can admit most people would bet on Kyrie in a game of one-on-one. But the optimists in Cleveland would point out Thomas had a lot going for him. That's more points per game than Kyrie while surrounded by worse teammates. Although maybe the better players was why Irving wasn't shooting and scoring more. Irving's shooting percentage is a little higher than Thomas's, but the optimists would not point that out. They'd point out that Thomas's style could potentially unlock Kevin Love's playmaking ability, something Love had done earlier in his career with the Timberwolves, but never got a chance to in Cleveland. Yes, fine, Thomas missed time with a hip injury in the Eastern Conference Finals and is still rehabbing from that, but whatever. Rats. Maybe they should have had a few concerns because Thomas's physical revealed his hip could be an issue. So much so that the deal stalled, until the Celtics offered to add a 2020 second-round pick about a week later. And maybe the Cavs should have held out for more, because Thomas didn't end up playing until January. When he returned, there was no time for him to figure out how to play with LeBron and a new team. Also, his hip had kind of ruined him. He was not the same player he was in Boston, and the Cavs were not winning as much as they'd like. He wasn't great in the locker room either. But you can't really blame the little guy. You can blame him so much that the Cavs social media account had to turn off comments on his happy birthday post. I've never had to turn off comments on a post, and I'm a woman who talks about sports on the internet. That's not a challenge, though. Please be nice to me. Thomas lasted 15 games before the Cavs shipped him off for some bench guys. They traded away Jay Crowder, too. The win-now portion of the Kyrie deal didn't work out. The Cavs did make the finals in 2018, which does require a lot of winning, but that was more because LeBron is superhuman than because of the new guys. And I'm separating the win-now portion of the deal as the part that didn't work, because that rebuilding piece, the 2018 first-round pick, well, let's take a look. They needed it because LeBron did in fact leave in the 2018 offseason. Cleveland used the pick to get Colin Sexton 8th overall. He was pretty good. The Cavs had some struggling years, as you do in a rebuild. In 2022, Sexton was part of the trade that brought Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs. So, that pick from the Kyrie Boston deal turned into Donovan Mitchell and the playoffs by 2023. So hold on, actually, did this deal totally work out for the Cavs? They did both. They did the impossible. They traded Kyrie, won now the Eastern Conference Finals, and rebuilt. What more can you want? Probably a title in 2018. Making it to the finals is different than winning the title. Sure, yes, of course. But for a team that had to give up a disgruntled future Hall of Famer, not a bad deal. Thanks for watching, everybody. We have fun, don't we? Let's keep the good times going. Keep watching videos, subscribe, join our Patreon. And remember, for Secret Base, I'm Clara Morris. Good night and good game.